Welcome to my TikTok friends, the podcast about the app where everyone goes viral. And I have to start by apologizing again. I did not post this episode within 2 weeks of the last. Again, things get in the way and this falls to the bottom of my list of priorities. And not because my guests aren't important to me. They absolutely are. I love speaking to my TikTok friends and then posting it as this podcast. I've got lots going on, and it just falls out of my head and I forget about it. And then when I come back to it, I realize, oh crap, it's been a month since I talked to Mel Zee. I should really get this episode up. So that is today's episode. It is Mel Zee. She likes to post about death and true crime, and well, I'll let her tell you about it.
I'm Mel Zee. I do deep dives into death, true crime, and weird pop culture stuff. So if you're a weirdo too, follow me.
Mel tells me that since she started doing that intro like that, she puts that on every one of her videos. Her followers have skyrocketed. She recently passed 100,000 TikTok followers, which is just incredible. I'm so happy for her. And so she talks about all the stuff she posts on her TikTok, as well as the things she posts for her online marketing business she runs with her brother as well. So a really interesting conversation. We get into the Menendez brothers. We get into the Wizard of Oz. We get into all kinds of fun stuff. So hope you enjoy the conversation, and I'll be back afterwards to wrap things up. My podcast stuff is kind of what I've been focused on for the last 10 years. But again, I'm trying to get more to the video stuff because it seems that more people want this, right? They want the video as well as the audio, and video podcasts are huge. Although I'm not, this podcast in particular, I'm not going to use the video for anything other than probably like promo clips, like to run on TikTok and stuff like that. I've still post this as an audio only podcast for the time being. So, but thank you for being on it. I really appreciate you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's talk about you. When did you start like posting on TikTok?
I started posting on TikTok in 2023, January 2023.
Okay, you know that. Was it like a New Year's resolution thing or something like that?
No. No, I just remember like I had been like, I work in social media marketing. My brother and I own a business called Raw Creative Co. in Vancouver. And so we were like kind of testing, we work pretty much strictly with Instagram and Facebook, but we were like testing like TikTok, what can you do with TikTok? And so we had like our own business account, and that was, in 2022. And just kind of, I thought we were kind of doing it for businesses. And I thought, well, it's not, honestly, I don't know how great it is for businesses because especially when it's location specific. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll just start trying to do some personal things and just kind of test it out. And I just know that was January, the dark, cold ass month where I'm like going crazy in my apartment.
Okay.
Is when I started.
That's probably common for a lot of Canadians, I would imagine, right? Anybody who lives through winter in Canada, for sure. So what did you start posting then? What kind of content were you posting when you started?
I was like challenging myself to post vulnerable things. And I had a podcast years ago. My brother and I had a podcast. That's how we kind of started our business. And, there's always like topics that are in the back of your mind that you want to research. But if you don't have an outlet, then you probably won't do that. So I wanted to start another podcast. My brother got too busy with kids and dogs and whatever. I don't have any of that because I don't want it. And so I decided to kind of dive into those topics. And they're always like, I was a teen goth, so they're always dark topics.
So true crime. What is your line again?
Yeah.
I'm Mel Zee. I'm
Mel Zee. I do deep dives into death, true crime, and weird pop culture stuff.
So if you're a weirdo like me, follow me. Yeah, and I'm a weirdo like you. That's what got me. I like that last part of that line because I feel like a weirdo sometimes. And I don't honestly do a lot of true crime stuff. It's very popular with my students. I mentioned I teach audio production. And so right now in the first semester, we just study podcasting in general. And so I just tell them to listen to podcasts as part of an assignment. They have to listen every week to an hour of podcast so they can listen to whatever they want. And a lot of them choose true crime as their like, this is what they want to listen to. They love that kind of content. So there's a lot of people like you out there So what is it for you that draws you to true crime?
I honestly just think it's so fascinating. I've been into true crime since I was a teenager, like in the 90s, watching A&E. Remember when A&E had Bill Curtis? And it was like, yeah, old case files and investigative reports with Bill Curtis. I used to watch that shit like all the time. I just find it so fascinating. I'm sure there's some part of it that's like being a woman and maybe like trying to learn how to protect myself from, you know, insane people out there, maybe trying to, you know, how, how can I prevent this from happening to me? I'm sure there's some aspect of that to it, but it's also just the fascination of like, I can't believe this kind of thing happens. Like it's shocking to me that that ever happened.
And
Right?
plus, you're talking about the 90s. That is the era of true crime. That was the OJ. That was the main. Was it
Oh,
Menendez Brothers? Was the 90s? Was
yeah.
that also
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yeah.
Carla Homolka and that whole thing in Toronto was in the 90s. Like there was so many things that happened that were such
Oh my God.
public in the public eye because of all the
Yeah.
TV and media that came out around it. Right.
Yeah.
So it just was sensationalized. So yeah, that's I can understand why you like it given you grew up in
Yes.
that era.
Our OJ was a huge part of my household. My dad was obsessed. He worked evenings, so he would stay home in the day and just watch the trial. That's all he did. He just watched the trial, and then we'd come home and he'd tell us what happened in the trial. Then he actually was on a jury of a murder trial, and you're not supposed to talk about it, but he would fucking tell us about it like during dinner. Like we were like I was like probably 10, my brother was 5, sister was, 12, and he was telling us about this horrific case over dinner. So I feel like it's just kind of like in my blood,
Wow.
coming, from a family of weirdos.
Okay, interesting. So what do you so when you talk about like choosing the stories to talk about, like that's the thing is that it's such compelling storytelling when you see this stuff. I actually was not I was completely checked out of OJ. I was like in my early 20s at the time and I was just could not care less about anything going on news wise. And so I was like I kind of knew about like a Bronco or something, and I knew about some of that stuff, but it wasn't until way, way later that I actually watched a documentary. I think I watched that series that everybody talks about that
Oh,
is it 30 by 30? What is it called? That ESPN series?
shit. It's, yeah, fuck,
Something like that.
so good. I forget what it's called, but it was I made a TikTok of my top 10 best documentaries of all time, and that was one of them for sure. I forget what it was called. Oh, The People versus OJ. No.
Yes, that was it. Yes, that was that was a or maybe you were thinking of the drama with David Schwimmer,
Yeah, that was good too.
and Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah, that was good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
made a lot of compelling media out of this because it is
Yeah.
such a compelling story, right? Everybody's like, I cannot believe this happened. I cannot believe somebody.
Oh,
Story
Made in
about it.
America.
That
Made
was
in
it.
America. OJ Made in America. It's incredible. Yes. Yes.
Yes. And so you talk about that as far as true crime. Now you also talked about recently, and this might have been around the time I started following you, the Jonestown mass suicide murders that happened, right? And there was also a Disney Plus documentary, but that one I didn't think was as good, right? That Disney Plus documentary.
That was the one that I watched, and I honestly had maybe seen documentaries in the 2000s or something, but hadn't really seen anything recently, and I thought I knew more about it than I actually did. So I really liked that documentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was still some questions that I wanted answered, like what happened to a lot of the people afterwards and stuff. It didn't really go into that stuff, I guess, but maybe that's just me wanting more details. But yeah, it was like certainly it was for me. I remember at the time it was around the time that I was actually looking for a documentary about that whole thing because I didn't really understand what it was all about, and then there it appeared on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Right, so there's a lot of this kind of content out there, right? Do you find that this is really in demand when you post this kind of stuff?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I had been posting this kind of stuff from the beginning, but only kind of once in a while, and then was just posting like, I hate men and I'm not dating anymore. Kind of, here's my dating adventures and what a fucking nightmare they've been. I was posting a lot of that, and that was doing well too, but it was kind of sucking my energy and like, not making me feel good. So it's hilarious that true crime was making me feel good.
But I gotta say, I do have a thing for watching bad dating stories. Like sometimes I'll get down a rabbit hole on TikTok where I'll just keep seeing them because I'm keep responding to them because they're interesting. And it's just me. It's the same thing as true crime. You never want to have to go through it. So you want to like hear somebody else's experiences around it, and that's the same
Yeah.
thing with true crime, right? We never want
Pure
to
voyeurism.
right, exactly. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting to me as well. So,
Yeah.
but true crime is a better because it's not so personal, right? These are actual other people's stories; they're not your own stories, so you can
Yeah.
kind of separate yourself a little bit from that.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I try to be sensitive, obviously, like this, there's like a fine line, like there are real people that were killed, and you don't want to do that thing where you're focusing too much on the killer and not the victims, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, it is just so fascinating and just the psychological aspect of it, like what was going on in that person's head, like that you can't, it's hard not to focus on that, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. But I try to find a balance where I'm being respectful and also telling the wild story of it.
That's good because a lot of these other true crime podcasts and stuff don't. So, you get the feeling a lot of them are sensationalizing it or trying to play up some aspect of it just to get the clicks. And I don't get that from you at all. Your content seems to be very like matter of fact. Here's what the facts are. How much time do you spend researching your videos before kind of writing your scripts?
I mean, usually the most of the ones that I've made have been cases that I know something about. There's only been a couple where I can make it without writing a script at all because I just
Oh,
know everything about the Ted Bundy. Like I just know everything about it.
okay.
But I I'll spend a good, yeah. It probably takes me 3+ hours to make a video.
Okay. And so you do
Yeah.
it like that all in one like go, like from start to finish. You write, you think about what you want to make the video. You
Yeah.
tell me what you do. I don't know, I'm guessing. What do you do?
I have a list in my phone. Like if I think of something, or people tell me all the time things too now. They people will DM me and request cases, or just people in my life will say, "You got to make a TikTok about this," some kind of thing that they heard about. So I take notes in my phone and just pull from those. I use ChatGPT to help me research, and ChatGPT is wrong a lot though. So I do like a lot of independent research and then write my script. And I try, like, it's a point form script. Then I go and find the photos or videos, whatever I'm going to put in the background, that and kind of line it up with what my script is.
Okay.
And then just sit and record. Yeah, I have to do it all at once or I'll forget because my brain doesn't work anymore.
Oh, okay. Wow. I know I can relate to that. And so then you it's just a matter of like setting it up, pressing record, kind of reading up the script, and then
Yeah.
you
Well,
do overtake.
I don't read the script.
You talk.
I look at the point form and then talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody said to me the other day, what did she say? She said, "Girl, look at the camera, not at yourself." And I was like, "Fuck you."
That's what I'm looking at. It's literally the same part of the freaking device.
I know, and it's weird to look if you're looking at the camera, you're like looking up. I got like a strike on my account today because when people leave stupid comments like, maybe next time you should do this, maybe check your sound, maybe do this or whatever, I'm just like, are you fucking mental? Like, how bored are you? Really? Like, I can't even imagine like being like, oh, I don't like that color that you used for your text. The color that you used, it hurts my eyes. Like when people are just like, and I shouldn't care. I should just be like, okay, whatever, just leave it alone.
What was the strike about? Why did you get a
The
strike?
strike was because this woman said, I made a TikTok about Milli Vanilli the other day that's like gone crazy. Yeah, it's like 4 million views or something now. And she said, Milli Vanilli could sing. What's wrong with you? Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And I'm like, oh my God, is this the kind of thing that you're getting outraged about? Like that I did actually say it in the video that they could sing, but people just comment after they see 2 seconds and then they comment.
Yes.
And just sometimes just say such dumb things. And it's like, whatever, like, who cares? I think I was just in a mood where I had seen it all day because this video had blown up so much that I was seeing all these dumb comments all day. And I was just like, and so I said, are you mental? I said, I did put it in there. Maybe you need to see a therapist or something. I don't know. I said some kind of thing. And then TikTok was like, strike.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I've been there. I understand. It's frustrating that
Right?
you're being rewarded for like your content is good, it gets rewarded by getting blowing up, getting lots of views, but every time it goes big, you get all these trolls coming and all these people who
Yeah.
just can't help saying something. They have to like insert themselves into your content by criticizing something or just trying to take you down. It makes them feel
Yeah.
better to take you down or something like that.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. Mostly I find it really funny, like looking through the comments, especially when I used to post content about dating and the man versus bear thing or whatever. Like
Oh yeah.
the hate comments, the hate comments I would get. Oh my God. And like the nasty DMs, like threatening DMs and stuff. Like, it's kind of funny, but it's also just
Mm,
crazy. Like people are very weird.
that sucks. Yeah, I'm sorry they have to go through that.
Yeah.
So you have a list of things you want to talk
Yes.
about. You basically kind of decide on what you want to talk about and then go ahead and start making the video. How many videos are you posting like
Yes.
a week?
I'm only posting about one a week now, maybe
Okay.
one to two, because it takes me quite a while, and I'm running a couple other businesses and stuff. So,
Mhm.
yeah, and I like to take my time, right? Like I want it to be good.
That's good. I mean, I think a lot of people tend to go the other way. They think that, especially when something goes viral, as your content tends to do, they we got to get more, and they just try to rush that out, right? They're just like, oh, I got to go put another one out right away. That's the same thing, and so they tend to stress themselves out and create a
Yeah,
lot of work for themselves, right?
for sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, I used to post a lot more, and I think when you're growing, you do have to do that. Like but you don't want the quality to suffer, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, I guess just we work with clients in social media telling them that it has to be manageable, the amount that you post. Like, yes, you could post 10 times a day, but like, is that sustainable? So
Mhm.
probably not for your own mental health. You probably shouldn't be posting 10 true crime, videos a day.
Probably not, especially with that kind of content. Now, you
Yeah,
talked about
exactly.
how, advising clients as far as social media stuff goes. What have you learned from TikTok so far since you've been posting on your own?
Well, TikTok is very different from other platforms for sure. Stuff that works on Instagram doesn't work on TikTok. So, rarely it does. And if it's like a huge account, then it will. But people really, it's like kind of more raw. TikTok's more raw. Instagram's really like, here's my beautiful life. And here's, you know, look how great everything's going for me. And TikTok's like, just like talking heads, like the camera on you telling stories and, kind of more dirty, raw stuff on TikTok, I find. Yeah, I just love it. The algorithm is so good. Like, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like,
That
it just
yeah,
gets to know you so well. Like, I want TikTok to give my eulogy at my funeral because it knows me the best out of every person I've ever met.
that's awesome. Yes, you're right though, because that is the difference. Is the algorithm is so much better. I used to just post my stuff on TikTok and never posted it anywhere else, Instagram or anywhere else. I deleted my Twitter account years ago, because of all this shit going down there.
Me too.
But it was like, nothing. I didn't really trust it going out anywhere else. I don't know. I just wanted to keep it on TikTok, and I kept telling my friends, "Come over to TikTok and see what's going on. It's awesome." Nobody ever wants to come over to TikTok. They just want to stay on Instagram. So then I started posting some of my stuff over there on a regular basis. I just kind of repost the content I post here on TikTok, and it goes out to like 3 or 4 people, the same 3 or 4 people who like it and interact with it, and then that's it. It doesn't seem to go any further than that. I just find
Wow,
that every
okay.
time, every time I post on TikTok, it'll find, even if it doesn't go viral, it'll still find a few more people who'll be interested in it. And I find it's just so
Absolutely.
good at matching up the content with the people who want to watch it. That's what TikTok does best, better than anybody else.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of it's interesting because it's like Instagram is more focused on followers, even though they've moved a little bit away from that. But they're more focused on your followers and what your followers like of your content. And TikTok is like every video is a one-off. It's like that's why I started doing that tagline, because if you don't do that kind of thing, people don't know what they're going to see, right? You want them to know why follow you, what are they going to get when they follow you, right?
Mhm.
And when I started doing that, my follower count went crazy. Like I think I was at like 8,000, and then I started doing that, and yesterday I hit 100,000, which is insane.
Nice.
So yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
exciting. That's awesome.
it is. Yeah, I was so excited yesterday. It was mental.
It was, and it's great to see that that is the reason for it, right? So you have to come up with like a great little intro for yourself to let people know what you are and what
Mhm.
this channel is all about in like 10 seconds. So like you have very little
Absolutely.
time to get that across, right? So you've got this nice little tagline. That's awesome. That's a great
Yeah.
story. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Um,
Yeah. And people should use Chat GPT. People who I'm a writer, but like I use Chat GPT a lot. I mean, just for like brainstorming, and you got to edit it or whatever to make it match your tone. But for people who are not writers, use Chat GPT to write your tagline. Like tell them what your topics are and write your tagline with that. It's such a great tool for that.
I find I'm using it more than I used to. Mostly because I'm trying to, I also teach some writing courses and I'm trying to like,
Hmm.
look into like I'm sure my students are already using it. I just want to be able to see that. And I'm not opposed to it. If it gets you, if it communicates what you want to communicate with it, why
Mm.
not? As long as you put it through your own filter of your brain first, right? You're right. It is wrong a lot of the time. And I
Yeah.
actually have my students, I had them do an interesting exercise. I had them try and write a bio about themselves. I'm like, here's pick 10 things about yourself, about your life that you think are interesting. And then plug those into ChatGPT and ask it to write a bio about you and look how many things it gets wrong. And it does that for everybody. It gets something wrong because it misunderstands what you put into it.
Hmm.
So that's just good
Yeah.
exercise as far as like you get in what you put in, get out what you put in,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. I know people who are using it for literally everything. Like I'm surprised they can even speak anymore because they're responding to texts with it. They're responding like emails and
Oh, wow.
everything. I went to a funeral like maybe last year, and the the person that was speaking so clearly wrote the speech with Chat GPT because they kept saying these words that they couldn't pronounce. And like then at the end of the speech, they said, in conclusion, I was like, oh, fuck, this is Chat GPT for sure. And how awful to be using Chat GPT for something like that, right? I mean, it's a nice thing to like, for people who are overwhelmed or intimidated by writing, they have things they want to say, but they don't know how to say it. Sure. But like, I don't know. ChatGPT, like AI in general, is kind of freaking me out that it's starting to do our creative work for us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like digging ditches for us. It's now we're going to be doing that, and it's going to be writing poetry. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. A friend of mine put it another way where he said, like, I want AI to be able to do the work I don't want to do, so I can do
Yes,
more art, so I can create more art. I want it to be able to do the grunt work. And so,
yes,
yeah, that's exactly right. We don't want it
yeah,
to do, but the corporations who want to make money see it as a way of making money, an easier way of making money because it can reduce the amount of humans they can involve in it. And I'm
yeah.
just surprised as how much everyone seems to accept that. Like
I know.
and I think it's going to play out in the content. Anything that's written or created through the use of AI is going to show its generic nature. I think
Yes,
we're already seeing stuff like that out there, right? That's done that
absolutely.
way.
Yeah, like blogs. Blogs don't mean anything anymore.
No,
No, nobody gives a fuck about a blog because the people are just putting blogs out like nothing now because it's like write me a blog about whatever and it'll do it, right? I find that
interesting.
ChatGPT has other good uses. Like I went to New Orleans last summer, and I told it like I'm going to New Orleans. I'm a woman. I'm these are my interests, and this is the neighborhood I'm staying in. Plan me a 5-day itinerary. Oh my God, it was incredible. It planned me 5-day itinerary. I did like 95% of the things on there because they were exactly what I wanted to do. And, gave me recommendations for vegetarian restaurants, like all these sorts of things that I think we can use it for really cool things. And I do use it a lot. But for writing, like, I want to write my own shitty poetry.
That's right. That's right. And one of the reasons I've been so reluctant to really use it is because I find that by the time I can get it to give me back what I want, I might as well have just written it myself.
A
Right. And that's
hundred
because I,
percent.
I also write and I am comfortable and confident in my own writing that I can just go ahead and pour it out and
Yeah.
fix it later kind of thing. So yeah, but you're right. What you're right about the people who are not like that, who have struggled with their writing, maybe people for whom English is an additional language. Like a lot of my
Yep.
students are in that position as well, international students. And
Yep.
so ChatGPT can really help them with a lot of those things, right? Especially when it's like something they're not familiar with.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah.
What are some other fun TikTok stories you have for me? Do you have any interesting interactions or anything from TikTok?
Yes, actually, I met a private investigator on TikTok, And I had something happen in my life a few years ago that I wanted investigated. And I had, wondered about it. And then I started seeing this private investigator's account pop up, and I started following her. And then I messaged her and asked her if she would take on my case. And she said she would, and she would do it for free. And so she took it on, and it's in the works now. But while they're working on it, I asked them if I could come in and work with them for a day, because that's fun. Why wouldn't you want to do that? So I did. I went in and worked with them for a day and kind of learned a little bit about private investigating and helped a little bit with case. And it was very cool. It was very cool. I've also like made friends. I've got 2 friends that I made on TikTok, like that's what your whole podcast is about, right? Like
Really?
you make connections with people, and because the algorithm's so good, it's like it shows you things you want to see. So the people that start popping up, it's like I feel like you already kind of have a connection with them in some way, right? So yeah, like I've been challenging myself for the last year or so to like try to connect with more people, right? Try to make new friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just been DMing people and asking them to hang out, and it's been just awesome.
Oh, that's great.
So,
Wow. So
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That is what this podcast is about. And it's really about like kind of extending the conversation past just comments in your videos about stuff. I don't comment on your videos enough, I find, because I'm just watching them and enjoying like, oh, okay, interesting. Like my comment would be, oh my God, that bastard or something. That's all I I find that certain videos I'll comment on more than others. But
I
yeah,
don't comment on yours either, because I just think of the answer in my head, and then I'm like, yeah.
Do you know it a lot of the time?
I have such a like my brain is full of like true crime and really stupid pop culture stuff. Like just yeah, I'm pretty good at trivia.
Okay, good. That's excellent. Well, that's fun, and a lot of people will do that, right? I've got like a couple of regulars who will comment every day, but a lot of people come and go. A lot of people just watch the videos for what they are. But yeah, like I find that I see these people. I see you quite often on TikTok, every week when you post. I've also seen other stuff. Maybe I see some of your old posts every once in a while get put into my feed as well. That'll happen. But I see a lot of these people that I ask to be on this podcast every day, and it's just about kind of learning more about you and why you make the content you do and what else you do. What else do you do in your life besides making
Cool.
TikTok videos?
My brother and I run a social media marketing agency, and I just started doing brow tattoos, like microblading.
Okay.
You know what that is? Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like putting like little hair strokes, tattooing little hair strokes into people's brows. So I started doing that maybe like 8 months ago, just because I was like, fuck, I'm so tired of looking at a computer screen, and I'm like, I live alone, I work alone, like I need to be talking to people.
Okay.
And I like to draw, and it's nice to make people feel good and stuff. So I started doing that, and it's been awesome. It's been so good.
I'm always
Yeah.
interested when I see someone with one of those. I don't know really about the history of that and why people get that done.
Yeah. That just like it shapes your brow and it fills it in a little bit. Like it just looks so good. When you get
Aesthetic
it
thing,
done,
yeah.
it just looks so good. It's just an aesthetic thing. Exactly. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's, alopecia or chemo or things people get, there's lots of reasons people do it, but yeah, it's been really cool. So I'm trying to like challenge myself with new things and, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this marketing business, the social media marketing. I imagine it's a changing world. Like everything seems so different. I did teach back in the day when I thought I knew a lot about social media. I taught a course about it because I taught people in the
Oh,
course about it. I didn't really know much. All I did was I was trying to like apply what I knew about marketing and advertising from the regular world, and I saw what was happening in social media, and I could see that the big companies weren't doing a lot about it. They weren't really shifting their focus there. But yeah, anyway, I was teaching it was mostly about content creation. It was about creating content that engaged with an audience. So that has become a lot of what social media marketing is about now, isn't it?
yeah, that's what we do. We are content creators. So we kind of plan with our clients what kind of content we're going to make for them the next month. We do a lot of video, like on-site videos. That's the thing. We used to, before video was a huge thing, we were totally remote, right? So we could have clients from anywhere, and we kind of still can, depending on what they want. But now a lot of it is localized because we do go on site to shoot videos and stuff. But every time like I'm working, I just can't believe this is my job. Like it's crazy. We're going to like hang out with cool people and film them in their, you know, shop and stuff. And it's like, then we're editing those videos. Like it's really crazy that that's my job. It's amazing. Like I love it. It's so cool.
And how did you get started in that?
Um, I kind of accidentally, like I was working for a company and they were like, "Oh, you're youngish. There you go. Here, you do the social media." And so I started doing that like, you know, over 10 years ago, and then just kind of kept at it and ran some businesses that, you know, I using social media, and got hired on as a writer at a marketing agency. And then they were like, same thing. "Oh, you can type. Here's social media for you." So then I just was doing that full time. And then I didn't like that company because they were, you know, very weird. And so my brother and I were like, we could do this ourselves. So we did. And it's been 3 years now. Just great. So yeah, it's super fun.
What has been the biggest change you think over the last 10 years in social media marketing?
Oh my God, video is so, it's just everything.
Yeah.
People just, we don't have the attention span anymore. Like when you watch TV, do you also look at your phone?
Try not to, but I do find myself doing that. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
trying to become more aware of it. And that's what people are doing. Most people are doing, right?
that's what you should be doing. Absolutely. I just, my attention span is so bad. I'll watch half of a movie because I'm like, okay, I get it. Like I get the whole idea here. But people, yeah, our attention spans, we don't want to read, you know, we just want to see and get the information as quickly as possible, right? So
Mhm.
video is huge, huge, big, huge change. And it's like a lot of work. People hate doing it. They don't know what to do. And, you know how people are so freaked out to be on camera themselves. So
That's a big
yeah,
part of it, right? The people, like a lot of the time, the people who, that a lot of people I know are resistant to this whole video thing because they don't like that aspect of it, myself included. I've never
yeah.
really been comfortable on camera, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
like
Why did
do more
you
video stuff.
start? Why did you start doing your TikTok? Why and when?
You mean my video, the trivia ones? Trivia
Yeah.
videos? I don't remember. It must have been a pandemic thing. I did a lot of crazy things during the pandemic. That was that's what I was doing. I was just like, oh, it's just fun. Like I had nothing to do at home, right? And you were all bored, so I started doing the DVD collecting thing, and I started falling in with those people. And then while I was at the thrift stores, I saw all these old trivia games. Right? They had all these old Seen It. Do you remember Seen It?
Oh
It's like a
yeah.
DVD based trivia game.
The
And so
best.
it had DVD clues on the DVD, but it also just had a card, and the card had 3 questions, and it worked out perfectly. And the way that card was set, it was like the questions were on the other side, so I could flip the cards. So just because Cena had the right setup, I think, well, let me see how long it takes me to read these sweet questions and try and answer them. And I really wanted to be trying to answer them myself to try and challenge myself with it because I tried doing the other kind where I knew that like I knew it beforehand. I just wasn't having as much fun with it.
Right.
So that's it.
Of
That was
course.
it. I started doing that with Seen It, and I did Seen It. I went through a bunch of different Seen It games. And then I've just moved on to different trivia games since then. And it was only the only reason I can keep doing it is because it's easy to do. It's very
Yeah.
easy. It's a setup. It's like set up the camera, boom, turn it on. It's like a couple minutes recording. Now they're longer because this new trivia card I've got has 4 questions on it. And
What's it called again?
mad about movies.
Mad about movies. Yeah.
I found it at the thrift store, and it's got 4 questions. It's hit or miss for me for these. Like today's was like I got them all, but some
Yeah.
of these days they were so weird.
People love it. Hey.
People really do enjoy it. Yeah, it's funny how I
Yeah.
can take like something that was made 20 years ago, this trivia game, and just like bring life back to it by just reading the questions out loud on the internet. But it is about, you're right, it's about video. It's video content. This does not
Yeah.
exist as video content until I read it on a video, and then it
Yeah.
exists as video content.
And the
People really like it.
interaction of it, right?
Yeah.
It's the voyeurism of it, I think, you know, because people, especially during COVID, like we were like, oh, we're so bored. We want to live vicariously through other people. But then also just like people want to get involved. So when you have something like that that's interactive, where
Mhm.
people can guess and comment and whatever, like that's engaging.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other kind of videos I post, I'm posting a lot more this month because it's October and I'm doing my 31 days of horror thing, which is when I watch a
Mm.
different horror movie every day and post a video about it every day.
Shit, I
Um,
haven't seen any of those.
oh well, you'll see them. They'll be coming.
Okay.
Maybe it takes a little bit for the algorithm to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I have to like I've been doing a pretty good job of it. I'm keeping a little bit ahead of it, and now I've got that kind of down to a science. Those kinds of videos are basically me talking over footage from the trailer.
Okay.
And I use the trailer because it's safe to put that up on, like, nobody's copyright striking the trailer footage
Right.
of a movie trailer.
Right.
And I don't use any of the audio. It's my voice. So I do write a script for those. I used to do it like you. I used to have like kind of point form. And if you go back way back, you'll just hear that in my videos. But I think I just became much more comfortable with reading a script and writing a script. So I do that in a very short amount of time, like, I don't know, half an hour maybe.
Yeah.
I'll watch a movie and either that night or the next day in the morning, I'll write a short script about it. And then I'll just read that script into my computer and as an audio file and then just put that underneath. And I'll try and edit maybe some of the video to go with it, but not always. Sometimes it just works out. Sometimes I don't care. And
Right.
and so by doing that over and over again, like by doing it every day this month, I hope to get, really good at it. So
Yeah. And probably the algorithm will love you for that.
we'll see.
I'm wondering if you have your Halloween movie picked out, like on Halloween.
Not yet. I have I've kind of got the last week is going to be top 5 all time horror movies, and I'm
Oof.
leaving that like vague so people can suggest ones. I might not go with what I usually go with, which is either Evil Dead or The Exorcist, but I'm
I was
trying
just gonna say it's got to be number one, The Exorcist.
I will watch The Exorcist. So that'll be in the top 5
Oof.
for sure, but it's I don't know. I want to try and change it up. Maybe somebody will suggest something that I'm not really thinking of, or that'll
Yeah.
push my boundaries. I'm a kind of a fraidy cat sometimes, and I don't want to watch Hereditary again. It's a scary
I don't want to
movie.
watch it. I don't want to watch any of it.
Oh, you don't like
I
horror
feel,
movies?
ugh, I feel like life is horrific enough. I
But
don't
you
want to watch horror
but you
movies.
love true crime. You
I
love
know
true crime.
it's very strange. I don't know what it is about it. Like, I mean, there's certainly psychological studies about it, and that it's mostly women too. Like, why is that? There's something about it. But yeah, no, I can't handle a horror movie. I can't handle it.
Really?
Oh
Even
no.
knowing that it's all fake, that it's all done for.
Yeah, no, I can't. It's too in my nervous system. I'm just like, like I don't,
Okay.
I don't want to be scared. Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I was thinking about rewatching The Exorcist because it is just such a masterpiece. It's still one of the scariest movies of all time. And it was made in what, 1974 or something? Like,
yeah. Early
how's that
70s, yeah.
possible? It,
I
it
just because it's so
stands
well
up.
done. It's so well done. And
Oh,
I always say it's a time when Hollywood took horror movies seriously because before that, horror movies were like Frankenstein, Dracula was like genre,
right.
targeted a smaller audience. It wasn't like mass big Hollywood money. There wasn't any big Hollywood money behind it until The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And that's when everyone kind of started taking it seriously. But it was just so well done. Like the whole thing is just so well made.
Yes, it
And
really is.
they've been trying to make it, they've been trying to replicate it ever since and failing because there's a
Yeah.
million Exorcist movies and none of them are very good.
No, it's true.
So,
Yeah. Oh
what
God.
kind of movies do you like to watch?
Um, I like to I think because I listen to so many true crime podcasts and I'm just kind of in that world all the time. When I watch movies, it's dumb shit. It's Step Brothers. It's like, like it's just last night I watched Clifford. Do you remember Clifford?
Like with Martin Short? Oh, that's a good one.
I watched Clifford and I was like howling in my apartment, like loving it. Um, so I love a comedy, always a comedy. I can't watch
Okay.
a drama. It's too much
Yeah,
for me.
I find myself shying away from dramas as well a lot of the time. I don't watch nearly as many as I used to. And
Yeah,
especially like around Oscar time, because that's a lot of the movies are dramas around Oscar time. And I'm sure they're very well made movies and they're all very hyped up big time. And I have a bit
yeah,
of FOMO come Oscar time because I don't always get behind those movies. Unless something's about something really interesting that captures my
yeah,
attention. But usually I'm like, Oscar bait. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so that kind of stuff I'm more of the escapism. It's comedy or it's action, sci-fi, fantasy, that kind of stuff is what I want to watch, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like my life is not so much these days, but has been over the last few years quite intense and dramatic. And so I don't want any more of that. I just want Step Brothers, some kind of dumb shit. Yeah, Wayne's
Right.
World. I just rewatched Wayne's World. Oh,
Well, that's good.
that's a masterpiece.
Some
Yeah.
great Canadian actors in those movies you were watching there. Mark
Yeah,
Short and Mike Myers for sure.
absolutely.
Did you watch that series that Mike Myers did on Netflix? The one called the Pentabret or something like that. It was like,
No.
oh, it's so funny. He does like more of his like disguise shtick where he does a bunch of different characters.
Yeah.
And it's about like the secret conspiracy organization that runs the world. The Pentabret, 5 men who run the world secretly.
I have never even heard of that.
Okay, well, I don't know how well it did. So this is what happens on Netflix. I had just like
Yeah.
it gets squashed. Nobody hears about it. But I think it's really funny. If you like Austin Powers, if you like Mike Myers, it's pretty funny. And
Yeah.
he basically plays, and there's a lot of good Canadian jokes in there too. He's a good Canadian.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that would be a funny one. I think it's called the Pentaveret. That's what I want to say.
Have
yeah,
you seen that? I Think You Should Leave
I've heard about
on
it.
Netflix? Oh my
No.
God. Tim Robinson. I Think You Should Leave. It's got like 3 seasons, and I've probably watched each one like 7 times. Because I'll just watch things over and over again. I feel like it's an anxiety thing, right? Like I've watched Sopranos 10 times. I just
Oh.
recently finished it for the 10th time, and every time it's just gets better. But
I've not watched it one time.
oh my God, that's your next watch. It is.
I don't know about that.
Oh my God, it's
Are you sure about
incredible.
that? To quote Tim Robinson, I don't know. No, it's funny because it just came up in conversation recently. A friend of mine is doing she's watching The Sopranos for the first time ever, and we were talking about watching it together. And I'm like, she was watching 4 episodes a week or something like that. I'm like, I cannot keep up with that pace. But I'm also not really chomping at the bit to watch The Sopranos because I feel like I've missed out. I should have watched it when it was on TV, and I missed out by not watching it. So what's the point in doing it now?
I don't know about that. It's pretty timeless.
Is it?
It's at the absolutely. It's on the every list of like best shows of all time. It's at least number 2.
Yes.
And it's the fact that like there's so many new fans that are like Gen Z, like, it's like it'd be like me watching Cheers or something. Like it's hard to watch Cheers just because of what it looks like and the jokes are old, but like this isn't like that. I work for The Sopranos, basically. I try to sell everybody on it all the time. They should be paying me HBO.
Okay.
But
so have you seen The Penguin? Have you watched The Penguin yet?
no, but I saw it on my thing the other day, and like it's like a Joker. What do they call it? Like a
Batman
origin story.
Well, it's like it's a spin-off of the Batman, the one with Robert Pattinson, and so it's Colin Farrell in a bunch of makeup. But he's apparently doing. My friend compares it to The Sopranos. He's like, it's good. It's like The Sopranos. He's like kind of doing a Tony Soprano character in this Penguin, and it's basically about the mob in Gotham, but there's no Batman involved.
Oh wow! Okay, well that might be a good watch.
Yeah.
I made a couple videos recently about the Menendez brothers, and so people keep telling me to watch this stupid Monsters series.
Oh, and you haven't watched it? You don't want to?
No, it just looks so fucking cheesy. It looks so cheesy, and but now I'm like, okay, I guess I better just watch it. And so I started watching it. It's pretty entertaining, but it's very cheesy. Like if I was the Menendez brothers, nobody's ever started a sentence with that before. If I was the Menendez brothers, I would be very mad at this show. It's so like overdone and like it's just really stupid.
Did they get paid for it?
Oh no, I doubt it.
Okay.
I doubt it. But they've got their own documentary coming out on Monday, which I'm like counting down the minutes.
Really? So they produced their own documentary telling their side of the story?
Well, they're interviewed in it, and it's like Menendez brothers approved.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, well, that'll be interesting to see how that one is. I also saw that you bought a trading card. The trading card.
Oh my God, let me show it to you.
Okay. This is kind of exciting. So this is from there in the background. This is who's the player? The name of the player there?
Mark Jackson.
And so this is his trading card, and they are there in the background in the crowd, front row, courtside. Yes.
Crazy. Like so many people say that's not them. They've confirmed it's not them, but I've heard the opposite. Like I've heard them actually confirm that it's them. So, and honestly, why
wouldn't it be them?
I don't know. And honestly, even if it's not, who gives a shit? I'm telling everyone that.
That's like I was watching. I bought recently The Wizard of Oz on DVD, an older DVD. And have you heard about the Wizard of Oz thing with the hanging person in the background?
Yes, the hanging munchkin. I just saw that too.
Well, this is an older print of it, and it has what I think people thought was the hanging midget. It was like a shadow in the background that kind of looks like it, but
Yeah.
it's actually a bird. You can see it later on. It
Yeah.
unfolds
Like
its
a
wings into a
crane.
bird. Yeah, and so but it maybe like it's been taken out of any new, like if you stream it wherever, you won't see that. They scrubbed it from the background, but this version still
Yeah.
has it. So I think it's kind
What
of
a
interesting.
strange theory, hey? Like,
Well,
yeah,
someone
and
saw
people,
that, but the thing is, if you see that in a movie theater back when they were first watching that, you see that for a second, and you can't rewind it, you can't look at it again, and so you think for years and years that you saw a hanging midget of the back
yes, I know,
of this.
absolutely.
Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's an interesting
I'm
story.
so obsessed with the Wizard of Oz. I just bought a edition of the book from 1983, which was the year I was born, and I was so excited to find it. But yeah, I didn't like that theory. I had that on my list, the hanging munchkin, and I don't know if I'm gonna do it.
Well,
This is
it's
kind
just
of
because it's clearly not a person.
yeah.
It's you can see that it isn't. For a second there, it looks like something that might be that.
Sometimes it's interesting, just even if it's not true, it's like the lore of it becomes the story, right? Which
Yeah.
is how I feel about this card. It's like even if it's not them, just the whole lore of this card is its own kind of thing, right? So yeah, I like how much people are diving into, like, have you seen those ones with the munchkin where they're like measuring like how far and what the lighting is, and we changed the shape of this to do whatever. Like it's just
Mhm.
so in depth. Like somebody's spending 100 hours on this same thing,
But they're doing it in an effort to get clicks, right? That's all they're trying to do is
and it's
sensationalize
very
something.
entertaining. I watched them, like I watched them.
You clicked on them,
I clicked on
right?
them.
Or just I guess just have them in your feed, right? That's how the algorithm works.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
I think this has been a great time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been nice that we finally did it.
Yeah. What's your
Yeah.
next video going to be about? Your next one you're working on?
You know what? I don't know. I have a few at the top of my list that I want to make, and I don't know though. Every
Okay, so
week I feel like it's like sometimes the list is getting old. A bunch of them are old, and so I'm kind of, if something strikes me or I see something, and then I'll usually make the newest thing that I've thought of, right? So
is that what happened with the Milli Vanilli?
Milli Vanilli was my brother's idea because we actually made it. I made it for our social media account, and then we have 400 followers there or something, and then I have 100,000 on my personal. So that's part of our, like, sometimes we experiment with things. So I was like, what if we posted it on that one and on this one? What's the difference going to be? And it's a difference of 8,000 to 4 million. So like it's quite different. But anyway, that was my brother's idea because it's Milli Vanilli is trending right now, right?
Because of the movie,
Because
though. It's because of
because of the movie.
or the series,
Yes.
whatever.
Yes. So he suggested it, and then I started researching it and found out that it's like charting again. That song is charting again, and like who's going to get the rights? Like who's going to get the money for that? Like it's very weird.
I think because of I saw that video, and I'm sure I did see it now that I think about it on your other account there, that on your agency's account. And I also keep seeing more Milli Vanilli stuff in my feed now because of
Yeah.
that. So maybe
Oh
it's
my
just
God.
everywhere.
My whole feed. My whole feed.
Yeah.
That song, I can't get that song out of my head. Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You. Oh my God. I wake up with the saxophone part playing in my insane.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, and thanks for being my TikTok friend.
Yay. Thank you.
And there you go, Mel Zee. Isn't she awesome? She's super nice, great person. She posts awesome videos. You should definitely check her out. I'll link to her account down below. And that's going to do it for this episode. Please come back at the beginning of next month, December 1st. My next episode will be up. I've decided this will be a monthly podcast. I've gone back again, changed my mind. Monthly podcast, and it will be posted on the first of every month. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And be sure to come back next time when I introduce you to another one of my TikTok friends.